All right, here we are. Time to get started for us here this wonderful Wednesday. So excited to have you joining us here for our GIODN special event, special speaker. Gabor, you can go ahead and turn on the camera so everybody can start to see you. And then we will begin our special session today speaking with Gabor Nagy. Hi.
Hi, everybody.
And if you could go ahead and just forward those slides for us here. I'll say hello while we're getting the next slide ready. I see a few more faces. A great crowd here today. Deb and Emmanuel, Erica joining us as well. Felicity, thank you for being here. Jamie and Jan, Jason and Jennifer, hi, and thank you so much for joining us for this exciting GIODN event. Julie, Kim, all the Laura's again, there they are. Marina and Mark, thank you so much. We had a fantastic turnout today. Shay and Chantal, Srini, Stephanie, two Stephanies and Laura's are competing for attendance here today. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Measuring and Developing Emotional Intelligence GIODN special speaker today. Can you go ahead and forward for me, Gabor? Gabor is going to be in charge of the slides for us today to try to make it easier because we are actually broadcasting to you from two different continents today. And I know many of you are joining us from all over the world. So it's so very exciting to have a truly global presentation with a global audience about this issue in OD that brings us so close together, and that's around emotional intelligence and helping our organizations with tools that will really make a difference. So I am your facilitator for today. I am Dr. Cindy Banier. I'm a strategy consultant with the Institute for Organization Development, and I am one of the leaders of the Global Institute of Organization Development Network, which is our home for professional networking in OD. And of course, Institute of OD is our learning and development home. So definitely check them out. Go ahead forward. I'll give a brief introduction to our special speaker today, and then he can tell you a little bit about himself before I tell you a little bit more about our organization. So we have Gabor Nagy. He is a special advisor to us here. So he's been working with IOD on some tools and sharing some ideas because we just have so much in common around organization development and measurement. And we're so excited to have him here today. So Gabor, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you bring to the table for our special event here today?
Sure. So first of all, welcome everybody to this talk on emotional intelligence. Thank you for your interest, and thank you, Cindy, for the facilitation and organization work. Isn't it amazing that we can connect through different continents and different time zones? And we can hopefully use this time very well. So about myself, I started in this field, in the field of learning and development assessments, to work since 2002. I started to work in assessment centers as an assessor, and I was developing assessment tools. I developed personality assessment, IQ assessment, aptitude test, abstract reasoning, numerical reasoning, motivation, and of course, I got very early interested in emotional intelligence and started also to develop a tool 5 years ago. And I'm very happy to share my experience of being an assessor, assessment center consultant, and assessment tool developer.
Oh, great. Well, thank you so much for sharing that experience with us here today. So before we jump into the content, we'd like to tell you a little bit about our organizations here. So Gabor, can you forward the slides for me? So thank you. So we are here on behalf of GIODN today. That's the Global Institute of Organization Development Network. So we are building this global network of high quality professionals in the OD space. We're superheroes. That's why I have the superhero background behind me today, because we are really vital in the organizations that we serve. And it's great for us to be able to connect with one another so that we can continue to serve organizations, grow our own professional development and our professional network, and find opportunities moving us forward in our career. And we have a lot of great things on the horizon in GIODN for 2020, so definitely stay tuned. What we are looking to provide our network with are these continuous learning opportunities. Things like this, our webinars, our special events, our speakers, our book clubs. We have book clubs and events scheduled out for you all the way through June. We have the lineup is amazing. A lot of authors are going to be coming to speak with us about their books. So it's going to be a really, really great opportunity for you to learn more about the OD network and the OD professionals who are here serving you and continue to grow your game. And we're so happy to be able to provide that for you. We have our regular newsletters as well. We have articles and additional resources. We have a brand new toolkit that we'll be launching shortly that will be a really big value add for our members. And our members are people just like you who have joined us here for our webinars. You can join as a professional member. We'll be launching our new Premier membership where you'll be featured in our world-class directory. So we're really looking forward to that. And if you take a class from the Institute of Organization Development, you will be automatically given a 1-year membership into our organization. So we're very much looking forward to that. Let's talk a little bit about IOD. Gabor, can you forward the slide for me, please?
Sure.
So the Institute of OD is our home, our parent organization, and our home for learning in the OD space. We provide fully online certification programs in organization development, talent management, leadership development, executive coaching, and HR business partner. And these are really fantastic courses. We have fantastic facilitators for each one of the courses who have long careers in the areas that they teach, and they are just so enthusiastic about learning and sharing with new people in the field or people looking to grow their career. We have one of them, Susan Gervasi, is here with us today on the line as well. She's one of our fantastic facilitators, and we'll hopefully we'll give her an opportunity to say hello here. Let me see if I can let her say hello. Susan, are you there? She might not be ready for us to speak. I'm putting her on the spot a little bit because I saw she was there. But anyway, thank you. We do encourage all of our instructors and students to come to these, and we have fantastic, enthusiastic instructors like Susan who join even these extra events with us. So we're so very fortunate. So do check us out at instituteod.com for your learning needs. All right, Gabor, let's go ahead and move forward. So I'm here to give us a little bit of framing about how these GIODN speaking events work. So in just a few moments here, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to fade into the background. I'm going to turn off my camera so all of your attention will be on our special speaker today, and that's Gabor Nagy. He's going to lead you through his amazing content on emotional intelligence and some tools that you can use in your organization. I'm going to be in the background monitoring your questions and helping to launch some of the polls. So Gabor is going to be telling us about some very exciting things, and then he is going to be asking you to interact through our polls. And when that happens, I will launch that. You will see it come up in your screen, and we'll have live counting of all the feedback from those polls, and we have several planned for you today. If at any point in time during our session today you have a question, a comment, you just want to say hello, you can put that into the question box, and I will be looking at that. I can share that information with Gabor as necessary. We'll also have a special question and answer session at the end. So if I don't get it to your question right away, we will try to get to it later on. We do have an amazing turnout for today. We have 66 folks on the line here. We had 185 people actually sign up for it. This making this session the most popular session, definitely of 2020, but actually of the past 2 years, the most popular session for GIODN special speaker and book club series. So we're very excited about that. We know this is a topic you're engaged in, but because there are so many of you on the line, we cannot have everybody's microphone open. So everybody will be quieted, and we're going to do our digital interaction to help stay connected through this. But definitely reach out to me. I'm going to be watching the whole time and helping to convey that information to Gabor as he presents the content. All right. Did I miss anything, Gabor? I don't think I did. I try my best to get it all. All right. Fantastic. So I'll let you take the floor here, and we can start learning together a little bit more about measurement and developing emotional intelligence. So take it away.
Thank you very much. And today I'd like to ask you, everybody who is listening, to be really with us, fully present, because it's going to be a deep dive. I try to provide some real value and real content that is difficult to figure out just from books and courses. So I hope it will give you really some value to really understand that there are two kinds of emotional intelligence. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, actually, there is one kind of common definition, but how emotional intelligence is really operationalized and used, there are two different concepts. And then understand that when we measure emotional intelligence, there are three approaches, and these approaches are quite different. And to motivate you to really listen, at one stage in this presentation, I embedded a free code to try one emotional intelligence questionnaire. So that will be coming up sometimes embedded in the slides. And we'll also talk a little bit about emotional intelligence development. I have one practical suggestion that might be very helpful. So let's start our deep dive with some light warm-up. Why emotional intelligence is important. And I think you probably know this, otherwise you wouldn't be here. It's a fundamental component of interpersonal skills. And it contributes to job success in many people-related roles. It's a good question, actually, how much does it contribute? And we will talk more about that. And it also contributes to personal well-being, to happiness. And there is also one very interesting point, that it can be developed. So opposed to IQ, opposed to intelligence, general mental ability, which is relatively stable, emotional intelligence can be developed. And I want to add one more thing. It needs to be developed. So we not naturally become very good in emotional intelligence. To give you an example, if you had kids or if you observed kids, when they are small babies, they don't even know, they have difficulty to understand why are they suffer. Sometimes they are crying and they don't know that they are thirsty, hungry, or cold. Or sometimes they are so excited that they don't go to sleep and then they suffer. They don't know that they are sleepy. So even these basic feelings, we need to learn to understand them and to deal with them. But of course, we learn that. And also when you observe a little bit bigger children, when they play with others, you may notice that at the beginning, they don't have empathy. You really have to explain, oh, when you bite her, she feels pain. Or when you take her toy, well, she's upset. So we are learning emotional intelligence. And if we are lucky in our environment, there are some role models that is very helpful. But for most people, we just pick up something, not very consciously, and especially if we did old kind of schools, the old schooling system, it has very little emphasis on social skills. All we do is we learn brain work, right? We do math and knowledge, and we do little about emotions. So that's why very often for adults, it is a task to improve our emotional intelligence. And this is how I personally got really interested in emotional intelligence, because I studied computer sciences. I used to work in trading and in supply chain management and computer services. And I got to assessment and people development in 2002 by an accident, by getting to know a business psychologist whom we became friends, and we decided to start something because I realized that there is something that I don't see, but he sees. There's something very important knowledge that I don't get. And why, for example, me personally, emotional intelligence was a kind of locked door, because from the place where I come from, a little town in Hungary, a man's supposed to be tough, a man's supposed to be cool. And I was a very sensitive boy, and I felt that my sensitivity is something not good. It's almost like a disease. And I try to block all these emotions and become just cool and tough, like a man, because that's our culture for where I'm coming from. And for many, many years, I didn't really realize what I'm missing. And I know from my experience that many other people also didn't discover the world of emotions and what new perspectives, new horizons you can open up by tuning in to emotions.
Hey, Gabor, just I want to pause just for a moment to let you know that we do have a couple preliminary polls. Should we launch those now? We have one on the importance for EI job success and one on Berlin measure.
Yeah, that would be the right time.
Okay, great. So I'm going to launch that one for everybody. How important is emotional intelligence for job success? So you should see that come up. We would love to hear your feedback on it. So just go ahead and click on there. We'll give a few moments for you to hear back. This will also help Gabor to see where all of you are. Is he preaching to the choir or need to convince you? That helps us as presenters to know. So it looks like 62% of you are voting.
I don't see the poll. Is it the poll which compares IQ and EQ?
Yes, IQ and EQ.
Yeah.
That's right. So which is more important? 74%. We'll just give you another few moments for those of you who have not yet voted. Have a few more stragglers coming in, and then I will close the poll and launch it so you can see the results. And all right, I'm going to go ahead and close that poll. So you should see the results.
I actually don't. Can you read the results, Cindy? I don't see.
Yeah, so we have 2% of people thought that IQ is more important than EQ, but 98% of our audience thought that EQ is more important.
I'm not surprised because this is an EQ talk. However, very interestingly, the evidence, what science gathered so far, is not that clear and clean cut. So about EQ, so IQ, so let's start with IQ, because it has 100 years of history. There's a great study done in 1998 by Schmidt and Hunter, and they looked into many data sets and organized many studies into one meta-study. And the evidence is very solid. Just to give you an example, for example, there was one data set, 35,000 people, 551 different kinds of jobs, and their performance, the correlation between their performance and IQ is 0.51, which means about 25% of variance in the performance is explained by IQ. It's a very strong and very robust result. And EQ, emotional intelligence, I also believe has this potential, but so far did not provide such a robust proof about it. To give you some examples, for example, Daniel Goleman in some technical manuals cites that what they measure as emotional intelligence with their tool, SC or ACI, the correlation between performance and emotional intelligence, different scores, the relevant scores, so the best ones. I start with the best one, the good news. Call center agents, 0.5, 0.6 correlation. That means about 25 to 36% is decided, is predicted by emotional intelligence. However, with financial managers and some other data sets, the result is 0.3, 0.4, which means about 10, 15%. And for example, with college principals, the correlation is only 0.1, 0.2, 0.28 is the max. And there were other researchers who could not reproduce these results. So actually, emotional intelligence at the moment did not produce as much evidence about its usefulness as we wish, and as I believe that with the time and when the concepts and measurements that we are going to talk about kind of clean out, we are going to get also more and more evidence and more data. But at the moment, if you look at evidence, actually, IQ still produces much more scientific evidence than EQ. And with that, I'm going to the deep dive.
Hey, Gabor, yeah. So should we do the measurement poll right now or save that for later?
No, we'll tell you. So first,
okay, great.
What is emotional intelligence? There is one commonly accepted definition. Now, different researchers, gurus, they use a little bit different wording, but basically everybody agrees what is emotional intelligence. Recognize emotions in us, in others, and manage these emotions in us and in our interactions for become more effective, to have more positive outcomes. So here everybody agrees. But then there's a big divide, and there are two camps. And I start with the academic camp because they started earlier. And from 1990, Meyer, Salovey, and Caruso published articles about emotional intelligence with very clear definitions. What is emotional intelligence? And that is, as you see in line 3, performance in some fundamental task, recognizing emotions when you see faces, understanding how emotions work, which emotion is related with which one, what kind of situations likely to create what emotions, and what to do in certain situations for managing emotions, so managing relationships the best. And they very clearly described and created also some instruments, tests. You can see it on the screen, the Mascate, the Meyer-Salovey-Caruso emotional intelligence test. And there's also one, the STEM, the situational test of emotional understanding and emotional management, which is very similar to the Mascate. And emotional intelligence basically is what the Mascate measures in this camp and in this world. And this is very scientific, and this definition of emotional intelligence, we will see it a little bit a moment in details, is very well aligned with science, with academic psychology, and also with the understanding of intelligence. So it is just another one of multiple intelligences. However, this concept from the academic world did not become famous and did not turn into applications. Something very unexpected happened. in 1995, a very significant individual stepped on the stage and changed the course of emotional intelligence forever. Daniel Goleman published a Harvard Business Review article, which became the most read article ever and in the Harvard Business Review. And also he published the book Emotional Intelligence, which became a bestseller. And he did not only promote the idea of emotional intelligence, he did not only translate the work of the scientist, but actually he very creatively he changed the concept of emotional intelligence. Instead of this fundamental and well-defined tasks and performance, Goleman focused on behavioral outcomes. And his definition, his model is very, very different from the Meyer-Salovey-Caruso from the academic psychologic one. For example, in his model, he includes things like accurate self-assessment, trustworthiness, innovativeness. I just read a few to see that how broad is his concept. It includes achievement drive from McClelland. It includes service orientation, a corporate competence. It includes developing others, coaching skills, which is a very complex skill, or leveraging diversity, political awareness, inspiring leadership, change catalyst. So his concept is broad, very broad. And the academic camp was not happy that Daniel Goleman somehow hijacked their clean and well-defined concept, which suits well with how intelligence and multiple intelligences are defined, and created something which is very different. So that is, we call it mixed models. And the mixed models actually become much more popular. Probably the reason is for this popularity that these competencies, they sound exciting. We intuitively feel that, yeah, that's the right stuff, exactly. That's what we need. That's what I want our leaders have. And the other reason is that consultants join to this camp following Goleman because it's easier to work and easier to measure and easier to create questionnaires for this concept. While the academic ability emotional intelligence is measured by tests. It's like an examination. We will see the examples. The mixed models are measured by questionnaires, multi-rater, rated by others, or self-report questionnaires. And they are very different. And actually, what the ability AI measures is not really correlating with the mixed models, what the mixed models seem to measure. So actually, what is emotional intelligence in practice, at the moment, it's not decided. It is a dialogue. So I will introduce the two approaches. The ability emotional intelligence using tests, and I will give you a few tests as examples, and you can test yourself. And there is a right answer. So this is not a questionnaire where everything is okay, it's about you. No, there is a right answer here. So I'd like to ask you to see this face, which is on the screen, and choose what do you think, what emotion is this face expressing?
And we have
and
the
Cindy,
poll ready.
Could you bring up the poll? Yeah.
All right, great. So everybody get one good last look at that face and pick out of the ones that you see there. And then I'm going to launch the poll here, but you won't be able to see the face. So make your selection now and then get ready to add it in. In 3, 2, 1. All right, so the poll is open. So pick the one that you think based on the face that you had just seen in the slides.
I think this should be pretty fast if people are still with us and following this.
Yep, just a few moments. We're at 82%.
I'm curious.
Oh, yeah. 85, just another 10 seconds here. 3, 2, 1. All right, we're going to close the poll and I'll share the results. So in case you can't see it there, Gabor, it's 43% of the people here said embarrassment, 27% said shock, and 20% said fear, and 10% surprise, 0% sadness.
Okay, the right answer is definitely fear. And this is very well described, what muscles move. And I can share with you a little trick how you can also learn by yourself so that you can train and get better in this.
Hey, Gabor, sorry to interrupt you, but maybe can you click your screen or something? We have a little bit of an issue seeing that slide. Perfect. Now we can see it. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, I come back. Yeah. So fear, and one way to practice this is, and if you don't believe that this is fear, you still have questions and doubts, put yourself into a relaxed state, close your eyes, and imagine that something bad is happening, some important work doesn't work out, the clients are coming and you are panicking, you don't know what to do. Oh, it's very bad. And when you imagine this, feel how your muscles on your face are moving. And fear is usually has panic, extreme fear is panic, has the mouth corners go down and the eyes are round so that you can see whatever is the source of danger. And this is an example for the ability kind of emotional intelligence test. So there are many phases, and there are also like pictures, paintings, and which emotion can you relate to this painting? Let's see another example about emotion understanding. The first was emotional recognition, is emotional understanding. Here's a little story, and the question is, how is the person most likely to feel? So the story is, Jane works as a troubleshooter. She's presented with a standard-looking problem but cannot work out how to solve it. What emotion is Jane most likely to feel? Is she confused, frustrated, surprised, angry, or distressed? Most likely. Please make a choice again, and let's go into the poll.
Great, we launched the poll. So we're watching just a few moments. You can see the prompt at top and then the answers that you can select from down below. We'll keep it open just another moment here. 69% of you have weighed in thus far. And just 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. And we're going to close the poll and share the results. So just for your sake, Gabor, I'll read this out to you. So confused. 14% of the people said confused.
Yeah. Yeah.
72% said frustrated. 4% said surprised. 0% said angry. And 11% said distressed.
Yeah. And of course, she could feel all of these. However, there's a right answer, and that is in this case frustrated. And in this case, most people were correct. So we are getting better in this as we go, or maybe this question was a little bit easier. The ability, emotional intelligence, is defined as recognizing emotions, things that we did with the faces, understanding emotions. This was this example. So what situation most likely would create what emotion? And then there is the third one. Just a moment. The third type is managing emotions, managing situations for the most positive outcomes. So here is an example for this kind of test questions. Helga's team has been performing very well. They receive poor quality work from another team that they must incorporate into their own project. How effective would be the following actions for Helga? Please rate from 1 to 6. And here, for every option, your answer needs to be a number from 1 to 6. If you think this option is not good at all, is not effective at all, then it's 1. If you think a little bit effective, but not much, 2. Somewhat 3. It is, but not the best, 4. Quite good, 5. And yeah, excellent. This is it. This is it. Exactly. That's what the person should do. That's 6. So here, the answer is for A, a number, B, a number, C, a number, and D, a number. And I think we don't have the poll for this, right, Cindy?
This one does not have a poll because we can't have you pick the number, but so we can have people put it into the question box or write it down on their own. What would you recommend, Gabor?
Just write down for yourself, make a choice, that's enough. We'll give you 15 seconds or 20 seconds to consider. A, how effective it is, B, C, and D. And you have 10 more seconds. Okay, and here I'm going to show you the right answers. So these are numbers that is average of an expert panel. So how this kind of test is developed? There is a methodology, actually very clearly defined and very standard methodology everybody goes through who develops this kind of tests, of how you source these situations from real life, and then how you ask people to do it, and how you ask an expert group to answer these questions. And then you see expert group. Do the experts see it very around the same? If there's a very big deviation, experts respond very differently, then this is not a good question. And so on. So then the developer evaluates these questions. And here, the expert panel, actually this question is coming from the STEM. The expert panel rated as C is the most efficient, most effective, 4.6. So if you choose 5, that's very good. If you choose 4, also very good. And 6 and 3 are also quite okay. Then B is similarly good, but here 4 would be the best answer. and D was rated as 2.6 and A was rated as 1.8, so that's not a very good option. So through these examples, probably now you get a feeling how the ability emotional intelligence is defined. So the ability emotional intelligence is the thing that these tests measures. Just as with weight, your weight is what a scale measures, that's your weight. Or your height is what a tape measures, what a measuring instrument measures. So the ability emotional intelligence is something that these kind of tests measure. And these kind of tests and this concept has some advantages. So the strength of this approach is scientific, objective, can be faked. However, it also has weaknesses, takes long time, the questions and the expert opinions may not fit the national culture, company culture. Maybe Helga in one company would do this and another company would do something else. Many items are not work related. There are items about like flatmate, what you do, friends, and what you do when a close relative dies. And many questions don't seem to be related with work. The other point is not suitable for development. At the end, what you get is just a number. There's no detailed feedback of, oh, in this question, it would be some good discussion, but there's no such a thing possible with this kind of tests. And the most important criticism for this is, okay, you know a lot about emotions. You know what to do in these situations, but will you do it? Are you able to perform it in real life? So it's different. There's a difference between knowing and doing. So even though this is the most scientific approach, but still it's not perfect. And then let's see what does the other camp do. Mixed model assessments. One approach is the multi-rater method. Sometimes people call it 360 or 180, 90 degree, it doesn't matter. The important is multi-rater. So there are many people who give feedback to a feedback receiver. This time, for example, here on the screen, Jane Sample receives feedback and people evaluate her behavior, her performance based on these items. I'm sure everybody is familiar with the multi-rater method. So it has strengths, it's objective. It's great for development because it helps to discover blind spots. However, it has also weaknesses. It is difficult to set up, and you need to motivate people to take it seriously and give good information, because the result will be only as good as the observations that the people put into these questionnaires. And then you need to get also feedback, at least minimum from 6 people to have some significance. And there's another weakness is it's not suitable for recruitment. So this method also has some strengths, but also has weaknesses too. And then let's see an example for the mixed model emotional intelligence questionnaire for self-reporting. And with self-report, only the person, for example, if I'm filling it in, that only the report is based only on my answers. So for example, I often post to check in how I'm feeling. Is it true or not? And so on and so on. And then these questions make up a report. Now, this method also has strength, easy to implement. Just one person. For example, if you have a training, just the people who participate in this training, fill it in, 10, 15 minutes, done. And you can include many emotional skills. It's efficient, it's quick. Weaknesses can be faked. People can manipulate it, which is a big issue when you use it for recruitment. and also weak in detecting blind spots. People may not know what they don't know. So I want to summarize now what we discussed about measuring emotional intelligence. And for recruitment, I would recommend you can consider the ability test, the Muscat or the STEM, and also self-report. However, one, validate the tool in your organization, which means that you should first give this questionnaire to people, to your existing staff, and see, does the questionnaire really differentiate your high performers and low performers? And the reason that you really need to do this, because the science at the moment is controversial, not complete. And probably different positions have also big differences. So you need to do it by yourself first. And the second is, doesn't matter which tool you use, you need to combine it with targeted interview questions or some role plays or some other ways to assess the emotional skills. So that's for recruitment. Now for development, it's a little bit easier. You can use the multi-rater and the self-report as well. And I use both. And in my experience, the self-report for development works just as well and much easier to implement it. People are quite self-critical in a development setting. These questionnaires are strong enough, good enough, smart enough, so a little bit of manipulation doesn't change much. People are open enough usually, and so in my experience, self-report works just as fine and it's easy to implement. And here I want to give you the complimentary access to our own EQ-SWOT assessment, which is a self-report, mixed model assessment, 16 emotional skills. And the unique about it is has some built-in booby traps in it. So if people try to fake it, they try to boast, they try to appear better than they are, then this test also measures that quite well. It has two quite robust scales for that and quite easy to use. So welcome to try EQ-SWOT. You need to go to https://go.auditors.com and then input the word EQ world. This is the code, and then you can do it and you will receive your report automatically. And this code will be valid only for 1 week. So if you want to test it, try it, or you want your friends and colleagues try it, welcome, feel free, go ahead. And with that, briefly want to close up about just some thoughts about how to develop emotional intelligence. And this picture, I wanted to express that on the left side, you have computer, e-learning, books, watching videos. These are all good, or what we're doing right now through this format, lecturing. We can learn something, but still it's the brain, it's knowledge that what we get out of it. Our emotional intelligence is not really trained by this. It's just like swimming. We can learn about swimming in the classroom, but we have to go to the water to learn swimming. So a good emotional intelligence development training program is something with real people do real interactions, and actually they do in-depth interactions. That's what is really helping the development of emotional intelligence. For example, trainings which have reflection on emotions and behavior. People in groups, in a big group or in small groups or in pairs, talk about emotions and behavior in depth. The in-depth is very important. Providing and receiving feedback is very useful. Role plays with video feedback is amazing. And any kind of activity where people act, do some acting, try to express something through body language and through some performance, and other people try to guess this, try to guess what emotion or what story they try to put through. All these kind of activities are very good for emotional intelligence development. So if you are constructing a training, make sure that you put exercises into it. And there are some books, Emotional Intelligence in Action or Emotional Intelligence Activity book, that help to construct such trainings. And also, if you want to have a more complex activity, one very unique thing I would like to recommend is the EQ workout board game. This is based on the ability emotional intelligence. It practices exactly those skills. For example, you look at faces and try to guess the emotion. You use pantomime to express an emotion. Other people try to guess. You use storytelling to express emotions and so on. So these are interactive activities that are all revolving around emotions and will accelerate the learning, the training, the building of the skills of emotional intelligence. And with that, I also see the time. We have only 10 minutes left. I'd like to close the content here. Would like to give back to Cindy for Q&A, read the comments.
All right. Yes. Thank you, Gabor. Thank you so much for that. I was looking, we didn't have any questions come up thus far, but we would love to invite the audience to, if you have any questions on what was presented, please go ahead and put it into the question box. I will say that we had a request to put the code into a place where you can copy and paste that. I have done that. I put it into the chat box and sent it to everybody. So you should be able to see the code there. Also, I would recommend if you were interested in the slides, that you can download them right now. They are uploaded in a PDF version in the handouts. So in your dashboard box for GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar, you will be able to see that download. So just to let you know that everybody who has joined us here today will get a recorded copy of the webinar here today, but you will not get a separate email with the handout itself or with the slides themselves. You will be able to see them in the recording, but if you want to be able to look at them in a document form, we recommend that you download that right now from the handouts. So let's see, we do have a couple questions coming in. So from Stephanie, she was the one that asked for the link. It's put into the chat box. Jerry said, could you please clearly restate the 3 approaches? So that was one question we have here, Gabor.
Yeah, very good. I go back to that slide, which helps the best. So here at the last row, you see ability, emotional intelligence, tests. So this is one approach, tests, exam. And these were, we saw some examples of these questions. And then approach 2 is the multi-rater method. This is built around mixed models, and there are many, like the Goleman Emotional and Social Competence Inventory, or the new version called just ECI, Emotional Competence Inventory, Byron's EQI or GENOS. They all have multi-rater options. And approach 3 is self-report. And self-report is just something that you fill in. And all these have their self-report versions, ECI, EQI, GENOS, and also EQ-SWOT. And here, I would say that the good multi-rater, and self-report questionnaires are different. Because not all are different. For example, the ACI is the same for multi-rater and also for self-report. But actually, if you do them well, you need to optimize them differently. With multi-rater, the questionnaire must be short, because otherwise people will lose patience. And you cannot ask everything. There are internal processes you cannot ask questions about it because it's difficult to observe. With self-report, you can ask a little bit more questions because only one person who is motivated answers them. And you can also ask about internal processes. So, but then the self-report, you should protect it against faking, manipulation. So the good questionnaires, the multi-rater and the self-report are built differently. This is my suggestion. This is subjective. This is my take on it. So again, tests, multi-rater, and self-report. These are the three approaches. Thank you for the question.
Great, thank you. All right, so I think, let's see if we have the response okay. And there's some thank yous coming from the audience there as well. So, all right, well, thank you so much for that, Gabor. If you wouldn't mind, go ahead and taking those slides all the way to the end. So we can just wrap up here as we're just under a few more minutes. And I think that you would want to share just before, did you share your website so people can learn a little bit more about you aside from the code?
od-tools.com, odtools.com. Welcome to visit. But if you check Gabor Nagy or EQ-SWOT, you will find me.
Great. All right.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here today with us, Gabor, and sharing these fantastic tools and these approaches to measurement and developing emotional intelligence. We are so appreciated having you here today and hearing from you. So if you enjoyed this a session here with us today, we encourage you to join our future sessions here at GIODN. Next month, we have a book club, Conversational Intelligence by Judith Glasser. And that is going to be on February 3rd from 4 to 5 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time, -5 Universal Time. GIODN special speaker for February, we're going to have Bill Muskell. He is going to be talking with us on 10 proven strategies for rising stars. And so that's going to be a very exciting, that is on February 18th. 1 to 2:30 p.m. again Eastern Standard Time, UTC -5. Those two excellent coming up. We do have a lot more if you check out our website at giodn.org. All the events and the future events are there. You can click and learn more and register directly through the website. And just before you leave, any of you who are interested in the PDF of the slides, download them now before you leave the session, so you can have them with you. And otherwise, the link, some of you are asking again for the link for the code and the that special offer that Gabor had made to us is on his website. It is in the chat. That's od-tools, od-tools.com. And then you have a code there, but that's on his website as well. You can access that there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for us today. I am Dr. Cindy Banier. Thanks once again to Gabor Nagy for being here today. And thank you to our fantastic audience for being here. We so appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you at future GIODN.
Cindy, I also want to say a final thanks for everybody, and I hope there was some value for you today.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a good day.